Hey everyone, welcome into DomTime. It's that weekly show where we talk with some of the well-connected insiders, if you will. We have Chris Brennan with us from the Philadelphia Daily News, PhillyClout.com, and the Friday column, Philly Clout, and John Featherman, who writes for Philly.com. Chris, one of the stories we didn't talk about yet, but is big, particularly when you see Steve Wynn's name. Again, he's back with us. I thought he'd give up on Philadelphia now to get a casino license. There's another one coming our way. What can you tell us about it?
There is one casino license left in Philadelphia, and there are 6 bidders for them. Steve Wynn's one of them.
Right.
The bids, 3 of them are on Packer Avenue in South Philadelphia. Steve Wynn is up in Fishtown on the Delaware Riverfront. Bart Blatstein would like to open one in the former home of the Inquirer and the Daily News.
Now that's where they should put it, right there. That's
like that. And Ken Goldenberg would like to open one at 8th and Market across the street from our new headquarters.
Okay. So a lot of gamblers with you.
Casinos seem to be chasing us around. I know at least one editor at the Daily News is very good at poker.
Now this has to be a real insider's game to get this license, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are 2 phases of this. There is the pitch to the public, but then there is the hiring of the lawyers and the lobbyists and the people connected to the various. Every member of the Gaming Control Board is appointed by either the governor or one of the 4 caucuses in the General Assembly. So there's a very political back game to this.
Now you're a libertarian. You support gambling
Absolutely.
up and down the way to go out there and do
Absolutely.
whatever you want. But how about the social cost of all this?
Well, how about the social cost? We don't really know what it is because a lot of the people who are anti-casino have given us reports that are really very dubious in towns that already have a lot of poverty. I quite frankly think it's going to create a lot of jobs. And if you put it in the right place, I would love to see it at the current Inquirer site because Market East, Reading Terminal, the Convention Center, Chinatown, strip clubs, it'll be a bust-out joint. Then what we're doing is we're actually getting the tourists who come to Philadelphia go to the Convention Center. We're not getting a lot of the poor people that we worry about. Some will still be going there, and yeah, there's going to be an issue there that we're going to have to deal with.
Prostitution there, but you support that too?
Prostitution's there anyway. Prostitution's there anyway.
So Chris, how's this going with the casinos so far? This vaunted social cost and all the stuff that goes with it.
We're very early in the process. We've got 6 applications in. There's been a round of public hearings. I think if I had to bet today, I'd say that Steve Wynn is probably the front runner because he has a few things that others don't have. He's got the largest plot of land, 60 acres of land on the Delaware Riverfront. Everybody came in and talked about their lines of credit and how they're going to finance their projects. He came in and said, we have the money in the bank, we're just going to build it ourselves. And he has a reputation as a rock star in the industry.
Without a doubt. Speaking of rock stars, that gives me the great line here. We had fabulous time on the radio today talking about this woman who picks up a bicyclist stranded near Hershey of all places. It's Dave Matthews, who sold out Citizens Bank Park at one point, put the bike on the back, they go to the concert, they barely make it there in time. He takes her backstage dinner, the whole thing. Famous person you may have rescued or come into contact with that needed a little bit of help.
I'm walking outside of the Rittenhouse Hotel, and I hear a guy say, "Yo, where's my car?" And I went over to help him. It was Sylvester Stallone.
That was a pretty good Stallone. And so how was he generous? Was he thankful? Was he?
He really didn't notice me. He was busy with a million people, but he looked great. I mean, for his age, he looks great.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Mine is George W. Bush, 2000 campaign, brutally hot, kind of like today. Westchester, I'm interviewing Laura Bush kind of in a broom closet. He comes in and says, "Laura, I'm sweating like a pig. Anybody got a shirt?" I, of course, am trying to get my shirt off to give it to him. It'll be a collector's item. Kid comes in behind him. "Sir, I have your shirt." Running with the shirt. I didn't get the shirt. You have a better story than either one of us, I think, though, Chris.
Back in 1991, I was fresh out of college. I was bumping around doing some freelance writing, and I spent a year in Hawaii, and during that time I worked on a whale watching boat. And I did take the former First Lady of Massachusetts, Kitty Dukakis, out on a whale watching tour.
What was that like?
Oh, she was very friendly. It was a good time.
They weren't bitter at that point in time?
No. She and her entourage had a great ride. We saw humpback whales.
Now, that would have been a heck of a First Lady. We talk about some of the First Ladies and some of the stuff. She had quite a debut in national politics.
Yeah.
Voter ID, too, is started in the House today. The trial started today. Too early to tell too much about this, but this will take how long, do you think, before it's decided?
An incredibly long time. Here's what we're looking at. The trial started today in Commonwealth Court.
Right.
It's going to be about 3 weeks of trial testimony. After that, the parties are going to have 45 days to submit closing briefs, and then the whole thing is going to go to the entire Commonwealth Court. There's only one Commonwealth
Right.
Court judge hearing it, but the entire Commonwealth Court will decide it. Whatever happens with that, whoever wins, whoever loses, the whole thing's going to go to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So I don't think that we're going to have really the knowledge of how this ends until early next year.
And right now, Pennsylvania still has about 100,000 people that don't have any way, they argue, of getting voter ID to be able to vote in the next election.
Depending on who you talk to, it's 100,000, it's 200,000, it's 300,000.
John, have you written about that? Comment on that?
Not yet, but I will tell you this: if the Republicans want to win back the governorship, this better be resolved this year.
Why? What difference does it make?
If it's not resolved this year, it's going to be an issue next year. It's going to be Republicans suppressing the votes. They don't want that to be the story. It's got to be resolved this year, one way or the other.
It gives people the energy to come out, energizes the Democratic base again. We'll hear it again.
Yeah, this has been a very interesting looping story because once there was an injunction against using it in the presidential election last year, a lot of people thought that the Democrats had prevailed, that
Right.
that the story had gone away, but it hadn't. It was just a timeout, and so it could very well become an issue next year.
Hey, Chris, thanks for joining us. Maiden Voyage here, PhillyClout.com, and the Friday column. Who knows what will appear in there next? And John Featherman, Philly.com. Thanks for joining us tonight, too. Thanks to our great guests. This is what we do every Wednesday night here. Our pundits of the week to break down some of the stories, be it giving whale watching tips to Kitty Dukakis or the weighty issues of the day. Join me tomorrow night and every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. for DomTime. Hey everyone, the Trayvon Martin case is drawing to a close. We hope we'll see what Eric Holder does. The Attorney General can certainly still hit him with some federal charges, but something that NFL and NBA teams ought to look at. Volatile issues like this and Twitter. Some of the things that were tweeted immediately after the verdict came down. Roddy White, who plays in the NFL, all them jurors should go home tonight and kill themselves for letting a grown man get away with killing a kid. Stevie Johnson, living in a world where you fight dogs, you could lose everything. Mike Vick, if you kill a black man, you're not guilty. And on it went. And I realize some of these athletes are just athletes. But my goodness, some of the stuff that's come out of this, some of the outright vitriol, it's ridiculous. So consider that before you tweet. Tomorrow night, more on Trayvon Martin and everything else right here on DomTime.